All right, so we're going to continue looking at slope-intercept form, focusing more in on some real-world situations. So here's one right here. Liam has $10 in a savings account and plans to deposit an additional $5 each week. So Liam wrote an equation, y equals 5x plus 10, where x is the number of weeks and 10 is how much he started with. And so we're going to find the slope of the graph. And where do you see the slope in Liam's equation? Okay, so remember, we want to use rise over run on the graph. So just pick between any two integral points, so here maybe and here, and we're going to go up and across. So let's see. We went from 25 to 30. So we went up 5. And then we went from 3 to 4, so that's an increase of 1. So the slope is 5 over 1 or 5. And do you see that here? That 5 there, that's his rate. That tells us it's $5 per week. That's the amount he's saving. That's the rate that he's saving at. Okay. Part B. Where does the graph intersect the y-axis? So we're looking for the y-intercept. It intersects the y-axis at $10. And what is the $10 on the equation right there? Yeah.
There's a backside too.
Mm-hmm. Goes quickly. Y-intercept. And that's the amount he started with. Amount Liam started with. All right. So let's write down a little bit of review from what we've already learned. Slope-intercept form, or y equals, put an mx plus, right into b, is one way to write an equation of a linear relationship. So write the words linear there. Linear for linear relationship. So in the equation, y equals mx plus b, what does the m represent? Well, in that equation, but in general, y equals mx plus b, what does the variable m represent? The slope. What does the b represent? So we're going to do 4 of these. It should go quickly. We're going to do 1 through 4. So let's use what we already know to pull out those numbers. So here in y equals 2.5x plus 4, the slope 2.5. And the y-intercept is positive 4, so 4. Okay, do that for 2 through 4. Write the slope, write the y-intercept for each of these. Okay?
How would you do number 2?
Good question. Well, what's the slope?
Well, 1/7?
Negative 1/7. And remember, from the video we saw that if there's nothing after the x, it's 0. Yeah. Any questions on number 3? What's our slope? Negative 1. Yay.
How about 4?
They're just in reverse order, but it's still the coefficient for x is still the slope, The constant number is still the y-intercept. Okay? So you should put 3/2 and 15 for the y-intercept. All right. Let's move on to the next three. Okay, here we go. So here we're going to pluck out from the graph the y-intercept and the slope. So the first one, the easiest one to find is the y-intercept. Where's this line crossing the y-axis? 18. It's crossing right there. So 18 goes here. Then let's just find two integral points and figure out the slope.
18 and, no, 14.
Yeah, I'll start at 14. And how about 10? Yeah, I just don't want to get too cluttered there. I'll use those. So let's see, we're going to go down. How much? Well, 2 spaces, but those 2 spaces represents how much? So we're going down 4, and then we're going across 1. We're going 1 to 2. That's an increase of 1. So the slope, -4 over 1, -4. Okay, so let's all write down the equation now. The equation is y equals -4x plus 18. Okay, let's go on to the next one. What's our y-intercept? Yeah, it's always on the y-axis. So yeah, let's go with negative or positive 3. Let's go with positive 3. Now let's pick a couple of good points.
6
And 9. Okay, let's go with those. So we're going to go up and then across. So if we go from 6 to 9, that's an increase of 3. And then we're going from 2 to 4. That's an increase of 2. So 3 over 2. So write down that equation.
y equals 3 2x plus 8.
Okay. Let's move on to number 7. Where are we crossing the y-axis? -2. And then let's go from here down to that -2. Okay. So it looks like we're going to go down 1 and across how many? 3. -1/3. So go ahead and write down that equation. Y equals okay. So on the back side, we're going to graph a little bit. So we're going to kind of work in reverse. Before we had the graph and we wrote the equation. Now we're going to have the equation and we're going to make the graph. All right. But let's pluck out those numbers. We need an M number for the slope. Huh? Yesterday, we had that sheet, remember, on slope. So if you turn it in, you're good. Okay, what's our slope? Well, that's a y-intercept. The slope is the coefficient for x, so that's 2/3. Okay, so what we want to do, let's review the process. You want to start with your y-intercept number. That's where it crosses the y-axis, so we're going to look for -4 on this y-axis. It's right here. Okay. Then we're going to graph 2 over 3. Up 2 to the right 3. So let's just do that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And that's it. We got 2 points. They're on the line. We can graph our line. So first you find your y-intercept, -4. Then use the slope to find at least one more point. All right. Let's do that with the next one.
Down 5 to the right 1.
The slope is -5 over 1. What's the b value?
45.
The b value is 45. Let's start with that. Let's look for 45. And the slope is -5 over 1. Remember, if it's an integer, you can always give it a denominator of 1. So that tells us we go down 5 units and then over 1 unit. So I want to go down 5. From 45, I want to go down to 40, which would be here. And then I want to go over 1 space to the right. So that would be there. So this is down 5 over 1. Remember, always count your units, not your spaces.
Wow.
Yeah, don't go down 5 because that means you actually went down 25. And let's graph our line. Okay. So this next one, y equals -1/2. Okay. So the slope is obviously -1/2. What's our b value?
0.
0. So that means we're going to start at the origin, right? It's 0 right there. Okay. But now we got to be careful. If you notice, the spacings are by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. And we got to go down 2 over 1. Or down 1 over 2, sorry. Down 1 over 2. So if going down 1 full space is 2, I got to go down half a space because that's actually 1. So go down half a space and then over 2. And then do that again. Half a space over 2. Now I have 3 points I can make my line with. Half a space. That's actually 1 in this scheme. All right. Make sure you have that. And let's go on to 11 and 12. All right. Let's see what we got here. The table shows a linear relationship between x and y. And we want to find the slope, the y-intercept, and write the equation. All right. Well, looking at the numbers, I think it's a good idea to use the slope formula. So quick reminder, this is the slope formula right here. So basically, we're going to subtract our y values for the numerator, our x values for the denominator, okay? So let's see here. Let's do 4. I'm sorry, not 4. We want the y values. 0.2. And then its x partner is 4. It goes underneath. Then we want -1.4. And 2. All right. So let's do that. 0.2 minus -1.4. Now, remember what happens when we have a negative or minus negative? Keep change flip, so it becomes 0.2 plus 1.4. And let's see, 0.2 plus 1.4 is 1.6. How about 4 take away 2? All right. So really what we have is 1.6 divided by 2. What's 16 divided by 2? In this case, 0.8. So that's our slope. So it wasn't too bad. Now, finding the y-intercept, especially how they set up these points, is easy. Look for the ordered pair that has a 0 for x. Yeah. You want to use this one and -3. So now we have our slope, or y-intercept. Y equals is the equation 0.8 x minus 3. All right, let's try this with these. So they're giving us hours and cost. So it says the table shows the number of hours a plumber works and the total cost of the job. So this is our x value and this is our y value. Okay? So let's find the slope again. All right. I think I'll use these numbers because they're the smallest ones. So I want 200 take away 35 and 3 take away 0. So let's see what we get. 200 minus 35, that's how much? 165. And 3 take away 0 is 3. And let's divide that. 165 divided by 3. 55. All right, what's our y-intercept? 35. Look at this one and you want that number. Y equals 50. And so this is how much a plumber charges. So guess what? This is how much he charges. He's going to charge you $35 just to show up. That's the plus 35. And then he's going to charge you $55 every hour. Okay. All right. We're almost there. Let's try this one. Graph this linear relationship. So we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. And
It's 24.
okay.
So y-intercept is 24.
Yeah, but before that, I wanted to mention this. The number of minutes Ingrid has traveled and the number of miles she is from work. So she is 24 miles from work here. And let's figure out the slope. Let's go down and then across. Yeah, we're going down from 24. We're going down from 21 to 12. And then from 3 to 9 is 6. So the slope is -9/6. Let's reduce it. Let's divide that by 3. If I divide -9 by 3, I get -3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. -3 halves. So y equals -3 over 2x plus 24. All right. What is the rate of change and what does it represent? Which of these numbers represents a rate of change? Negative 3/2 or 24? Okay. And it represents, well, it's y over x. What does y represent? Miles. And then, okay. So this is what it represents. It represents negative 3/2 miles per minute. So that means Ingrid, that's her name, right? Is 3 miles closer every 2 minutes to work. Every 2 minutes, she's getting 3 miles closer. What's the y-intercept, guys? Yeah, 24 miles. What does that 24 miles represent? Well, what does it represent? Yeah, all the miles she has to travel. Basically where she started. She started 24 miles away. Okay, I'll leave the last one for you to work on and turn it in. Make sure your name's on this.